beautiful, wonderful humans. Are you well?
Yay!
Yes, excellent. Thank you so much for making it outside on the one evening of proper winter. This is astonishing. I mean, I know since this is January 2017, we will all take winter over the inevitable nuclear winter that's going to turn up soon. But still, well done for leaving the house. Welcome to this show. Welcome to Barbarians. This is the first show of mine I've ever had filmed, and I'm thrilled that you've come to join me with it. Now, listen, I got a lovely R over there from the mum of the gig. That is great. Like, I am going to finish this gig by being burped by this lady later. It is, I mean, Richard Pryor did that of all of his gigs as well. You just never saw it. Anyway, to business. Listen, I've been doing comedy for a while now, and I cannot go on stage without immediately making snap judgments about you as an audience, both collectively and individually. Like, for example, I'd say you guys, you're probably the confident members of the audience, whereas you four in the corner, you're the subs bench, which is nice. And you seem like good people, but if any of you aren't pulling your way, I'll put up the LED board and they get to come on instead. It's just what happens, I can't help but look at certain people and not make immediate snap judgments about them. Like this gentleman here with a lovely ginger beard. My snap judgment about you is that you're a 1,300-year-old Norwegian god and probably live in a lighthouse. My snap judgment about this gentleman, the glasses and the sweater, good at spreadsheets. My snap judgment about this lady here in the nice sort of leopard skin hat with the leopard skin coat with the blue hat on her friend, I reckon probably a country and western singing duo who perhaps, take the incest a little bit too practically from time to time. I don't know. It's hard to decide. And listen, I can't help it. We all do it at the same time. I know. People in this room, you all made a snap judgment about me, which is what is the annoying child from Outnumbered doing on stage. I'm well aware of that. I'm a little hairy man. When I get naked for my wife, I look like an Ewok Chippendale. It is just the nature of these things. But we do this because we're human beings. It's in our genetic program to sort of make a snap decision, because 200,000 years ago, we had to make a snap decision and we have to go, ooh, lion. And to be honest, when I saw you and your beard, I didn't think, oh, holy fuck, that is quite the mane. But it's not a useful thing to do anymore, because it's fight or flight. And if you come across a lion, well, you're certainly not going to win by fleeing from it, and there's no way you're going to win a fight against a lion without a pickup truck and a rifle. # never forget Cecil. 1 year on, it still hurts, doesn't it? It still hurts. Still hurts. Don't worry, Harambe will not be making an appearance in this show. You're fine. You're fine. But and for some reason, the lady mayoress over there decided to cackle at the idea of Harambe. That was cool. But the thing is, we have this little sort of fight or flight thing in us fires off, and it fires off pointlessly in the 21st century, and it embarrasses us. For example, right, my fight or flight fired off just before when I was in the toilet. That sounds rude. No, it did. Basically, I went to open the door to get into the toilet just as another guy pushed to leave, and we came face to face, and he just went, huh! As though he thought I was a Victorian acrobat and was going to leap over his head and then roll away. It leads to all sorts of problems. To give you an example, right, I have just completed my first full year of marriage. Yeah, I think it should be like, swimming proficiency. I should get a little 1 year bag to sew onto my swimming trunks. I've married a good one. I married a Scottish lady. Do you have any Scottish people in? Good. How I like it. Oh no, you say what part of Scotland are you from? Aberdeen. My wife's from a slightly posher part of Scotland called the rest of it. No, she's from St Andrews, and yeah. Oh no, I know. Cool. That was a trigger word for a man down the front for some reason. No, she is. It's very posh in St Andrews, right? I was doing a gig there last year, and a fight broke out, and you can tell it's posh there because when the police came to break it up, they didn't use pepper spray; they used balsamic. It was. But my wife is a good one. I've married a lawyer, so well done me. I presume since we're in the lovely Angel Comedy Club, we have a number of performers in, and I say to you, I thoroughly recommend marrying a grown-up. It is absolutely the best decision I've made in my life, both romantically and tactically. It is, tonight I'll probably get home, it'll be about midnight, I'll look down at my beautiful wife's curvaceous shape and I'll think, oh, there she is. There's my little pension plan. Oh, who's got sexy dividends? Yes, you do. Yes, you do. So anyway, I've been a year in a marriage, right, and there's a difficult thing that happens here in a marriage. You have your first birthday, and you've got to get the first marital birthday present. This is what she got me, see what you think of it. My wife got me a session with a personal trainer. It's a bit of a backhanded slap, isn't it? It's a little bit like going, happy birthday, Grandma, have a shovel. Just really, And I learned something that day. I went to the gym and the personal trainer said, right, Ben, we're going to measure your percentage body fat. And I discovered that I have 30% body fat. Now, as you all know, human beings are made of 70% water. Which means that technically I am a Tesco value sausage. This is my contention, right? That our fight or flight is not designed for the real world, for the 21st century, because we've not evolved very well, you know. And there's lots of things that have evolved in a cool way, like giraffes. Giraffes have evolved in a cool way. A giraffe is just a really curious horse, or a platypus, duck-billed platypus that has evolved into a novelty oven glove. But we've made a lot of mistakes in our evolution, you know. What are our key things we've evolved? We're tool-using mammals. We are tool-using mammals. We have, I'm not a very good tool-using mammal. You took that to be much ruder. Meant to be. I've not got that genetic code in me. When I was home for Christmas, my dad tried to teach me how to wire a plug, and he went, right, Ben, very simple. This plug, it's got 3 wires. This one's earth. What are the other 2? I don't know, wind and fire? I haven't got a clue. I think one of the reasons we haven't evolved very well is because one of the other motors inside us is sex. All the time we're thinking about sex. All the time, because we're animals. All the time we're thinking about it. Once every 6 seconds. That's why your DNA is a spiral. It's ribbed for extra pleasure. And the thing is, like sex gets in the way of good evolution. I mean, at least the way we have sex is reasonably decorous compared to other animals, or even other beings on Earth. Like, do you know how plants have sex, fella? Oh, it's fucked up. It is. Plants have the kinkiest sex because plants are the only things I know of that have sex using another animal. Yeah, you got Mr. Bumblebee, comes along, rubs himself on the male plant, flies over to the female plant and deposits the pollen. Imagine, my friend, if you wanted to have sex, and in order to do so, you had to ejaculate onto a hamster. And then throw that hamster at passing women. But you're a nice guy, you might want to have safe sex. What you'd have to do then is jizz on the hamster, pop it in one of those Perspex balls, and roll it out into the world. One of my mates who's an evolutionary biologist, he genuinely thinks that the next evolution in humankind is going to be cerebral. I disagree. I think it's going to be sexual. I think I've found it already, right? I was on the internet recently, which is, of course, as you know, where they keep all the facts. And I made this discovery. Did you know at any point on the planet Earth there are up to 600 men born with 2 penises? About 400 of them live in Cornwall. But I guarantee you, 600 men with 2 penises. And listen, some of the women in the room will be thinking, no, thank you very much. And some of the women in the room will have to delete their internet browsing history later. And a couple of the women in the room are thinking, yeah, I could go for a man who could multitask. Yeah, back and front at the same time. Come on, big boy, do me like a European plug socket. Yeah! Equally, there's not a man in the room who hasn't at some point in his life, thought, oh, I'd love to go on 2 dicks. Think about it, lads. If you're having a little bit of gentleman's solitary meditation with 1 penis, it's a bit of fun. But if you're having a shine and a polish with 2, you can have a race. Come on, number 2, I've got money on you! Come on! In my mind, they're dressed like jockeys down there. Oh, pipped at the post. Equally though, a warning, if you happen to be a 2-dicked gentleman, here's the thing, because, there's one thing that's so much fun to do with 1 penis, which is doing the helicopter, doing the helicopter to amuse yourself, or entertain a partner, or baffle a pet. Here is my warning though, if you do the helicopter with 2 penises, you will hypnotise your dog. All his dinners have come at once. All of them have come at once. But that distracts us. There are cool things we've evolved, big things that we've evolved, like language. No, there are animals develop language. How cool is our language? But the problem is it can be an Achilles heel. It can be. It's very, very delicate, very fragile. Like, did you know, right, if you get a strong enough blow on the head, you can wake up speaking with a different accent or even a different language, and that is how Welsh was invented. Quite a taffy-friendly crowd in this evening for some reason. No, I love it. Look, Welsh is a beautiful language. My favourite word is the word for exit, which is Alan, A-L-A-N. Yeah, it must be horrible being called Alan in Welsh. Hello, nice to meet you. I'm Myfanwy. This is my husband, Alan. All right, I'll fuck off if that's your attitude. But I read about this, right, it was in this occurred quite recently. There was a builder from Essex called Dave, I imagine, and he was working on a building site and a scaffold went through his head, out the other side. He awoke physically fine, but able to speak perfect Polish, and immediately trebled his profits. Oh, it's really fun doing that joke in liberal left-leaning Guardian, North London. I can feel half of you going, well, that's quite funny, and the rest of you going, I shall write a stern letter to the editor in the morning. That is not good enough at all. But what a cool way to learn language. British people, we're not good at it. If you turned up at school and went, hello, I'd like to learn French, please. Not a problem. I'll fetch the baguette. How's that for you? Oui, c'est bon. Okay, anything else you'd like to learn? I always wanted to learn German. No worries, I'll get the breakfast. How about now? Hola, ¿cómo estás? Yeah, that's chorizo. Sorry about that. We'll happen from time to time. And there's what I think is our greatest evolutionary trait, but also perhaps our worst invention is names. No other animals have names. They've got smells, they've got pheromones, that wouldn't work at all, would it? You know, just go, hi, I'm Ben, this is my wife, autumn glaze with a hint of bulbous oil, and our two beautiful daughters, toilet duck and wet dog. It would be weird. And names are a good idea. You know, a nice short, sharp name helps you hunting. Ben, Steve, Jim, go get the buffalo. Off you go. And but I mean, my name's a nice name, Ben. It is a nice name for a golden retriever. But my full name, you know, my evolved human name, it's nonsense. My full name is Benjamin Roger Morris van der Velde. Yeah, that's the sort of name that hunts poor people on horseback, isn't it? And then uses their teeth as cufflinks. It's not, And when you look behind that name, it's clearly nonsense. You've got Benjamin, it's a biblical name, which means son of my right hand. Clearly my dad was having a little bit of alone time, a hamster popped along, and here I am. My middle name's Roger Morris, which literally translates as fornicate with a classic car. And Van der Velde, which is Dutch for holding midfield player. And but I've also got another name. I've got a secret identity. I've got a Hebrew name because I'm part of the Jew crew. And fuck off, that's our street name. And also the reason why we've not won any street battles either. No, so my Hebrew name is Binyamin Shlomo Ben Akiva Ezra Ben Moshe, General to the Army of the North, and I will have my vengeance. But that's a stupid name as well. You've got Binyamin, that's Hebrew for Benjamin. Now Shlomo, my middle name, what Shlomo is it's how Sean Connery moves in an instant replay. But this whole tribal identity thing, which is what, you know, part of what being Jewish is, again, it's a hamstring for us. Because it worked 200,000 years ago when you had one tribe, one identity, in the valley, fuck those guys over there in the next valley. But now we're multi-identity. I have at least 4 identities. You know, I'm British, I'm Jewish, I'm Geordie, and I'm comedian. And it's hard to know what I am. I'd see my main two are that I'm Jewish and Geordie. I'm a Jew Geordie, which is the opposite of a Judge Judy. But I don't know whether I feel more Jewish or more Geordie. For example, when I saw the film The Boy in the Striped Pyjamas, I was really rooting for him because he was a Newcastle United fan. And I'm not like, you know, I'm not a good Jew. I don't believe in God. And look, if you want to believe in God, that's fine. And if you don't believe in God, that's correct. I'm Jewish with a small J. In the way that some people are conservative with a small c and Donald Trump is white supremacist with 3 small k's. It's all right, he's not here. It's fine. But it's like it's tricky because like particularly in the Jewish community, people want to like keep within the tribe, and that's not good. It's not healthy. This has reached a ridiculous extreme recently. One of my mates is trying to find a wife, and he's trying to find a Jewish wife. He started off having to go on Tinder. You obviously by now will know what Tinder is. For anyone who doesn't, Tinder's basically Pokemon Go for STDs. But there's a Jewish version of Tinder, which is brilliantly called J-Swipe. It's a horrible name, isn't it? Yeah, it sounds like a sanitary product for rabbis, doesn't it? If you had a kinky time with Rabbi Moshe, try all new J-Swipe. They're all bearded. But J-Swipe, very similar to Tinder. The way J-Swipe works is that you swipe right, and then the girl swipes right, and then both your mothers swipe right, and then... I think we can roll that out for other religions. You can have Catholic Tinder, where you swipe up, down, left, and right. And then it's just a picture of the Pope going, no! You could have Jehovah's Witnesses Tinder, where you swipe right and a door slams in your face. You could have, for the American market, we can have Mormon Tinder, where you go, that's my wife, that's my wife, that's my wife, that's my wife, that's my wife. Or even Amish Tinder, as you guys probably know, Amish people don't like technology. So Amish Tinder would just be a window with a series of women in bonnets walking past. When you see one that you like, you grab your shepherd's crook and it's like hook a duck at the fun fair. There you go. Meet your sisters. You're right, that's quite a sad punchline, that one, isn't it? Yeah, that's a weird one, because half the time people laugh at it, and half the time people go, oh, that's a Louis Theroux documentary right there, stop it. Oh, if I can ask you guys to do one thing, by the way, I know that we do have a couple of chosen people in the audience tonight. That makes it sound like I asked them to be here. That's not true. It is true. Fuck it, whatever. But after the gig, if the non-Jews in the audience, if you can get out your smartphones, if you can download a copy of J-Swipe, upload a profile, and fuck with the algorithm, it will be amazing. You'll just have all the Jews in Northwest London going, maybe, 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 maybe. What's a Norse god doing on here? Fuck it, looks handy, swipe right. It's just weird. Like, don't be wrong, there's bits of religion I like. There are good stories in the books, but I don't like what's behind them. Like, we're in the Old Testament, which, there's good stories in there. Our unlikely away win in Egypt is always a favourite of mine. But then the rest of the New Testament's not for me. The whole story of how God came down to earth to live amongst us and hand out salvation. It's a little bit Secret Millionaire for my liking. And then, of course, there's the Quran, which I think is clearly man-made and pretty tasteless. Sorry, Quorn. Quorn is... So it's really easy to mix those up because Mo Farah loves both of them. You are mostly good people for enjoying that joke. I was lucky enough to do a gig in Oslo a couple of months ago, and turns out they do not have corn in Norway. No, just I had 200 people looking like this gentleman, all staring at each other going, do you know what, Henk, I think Frodo is a bit of a racist. But there's good stuff. I like prayer. It's meditative. I think it quells that sort of animal instinct inside us. That's why people pray so much. Jews pray 3 times a day. Muslims pray 5 times a day. Christians pray when they want something. And Catholics pray on small children. Oh, don't look at me. Jews, we're fucking clean as a whistle on that one. It's the one thing you can't pin on us. It's fucking cracking. But it's weird. Like, this weird behaviour leads to more and more problems. Like, identity's a great thing. Be proud of your identity, wherever you're from. But how we show identity gets real weird real quick. For men, how do we show identity? Circumcision. What a strange decision that was. Because the question of it is, so Jews, yes. You're God's favourites, are you? Yes, we are. And how did he show that? Well, he asked us to cut off a bit of our dicks, and we did. What an odd conversation between God and Abraham. Abraham, I would like to make you and your descendants my chosen people. Sounds great. What do we get? You get the land of Israel. It will be not a problem. Anything else? In about 3,000 years' time, your descendants in America will go on to be very successful stand-up comedians. Whereas your descendants in the United Kingdom will go on to play to a half-empty room in Islington on a Thursday evening. That was a much more fun gag to do in Edinburgh to full room because I didn't get the sympathy. But thank you. That means you all now have to burp me at the end of the show, that noise. Just what a weird conversation. What a weird conversation that was, you know, like, and like, the decision to do that, Abraham must have been going, so, what would you like in response? Would you like to go on my wife? No, mate, saving that for the sequel, yeah. I don't know. What would you like? I would like your foreskin and all the foreskins of all your descendants. At which point, you'd have thought Abraham's natural Jewish ability to haggle would kick in, wouldn't you? Like, fuck it. Maybe it did. Maybe the conversation went, what do you want, mate? I want your leg. Will you accept my foreskin? Done. And what happens if we die? If we die and go to heaven and Jesus is there showing us round and he's going, welcome to heaven, over there's the jacuzzi, that's the tennis courts over there. Jesus, mate, what's that massive warehouse in the distance? It's nothing. Jesus, what's in the warehouse? It's Dad's foreskin collection. You open up the doors and there's just rolling hillocks of man calamari as far as the eye can see. God's there like Scrooge McDuck at the start of DuckTales. I want to point out, by the way, my objection to circumcision is purely moral. It's not aesthetic. Like, aesthetically, I think a circumcised penis looks smart casual. You know, roll neck down looks a little bit like a French philosopher, doesn't it? You know, obviously, lads, you don't want your cock behaving like a French philosopher. That'd be awful, wouldn't it? You know, come on, fella, time for some sex. But what is the point? Life is a meaningless void anyway. Just shut up and stop smoking that cigarette. I will not. And it's weird that we're strangely cool with male circumcision. It's weird that we're cool with male genital mutilation, because female genital mutilation, correctly, there have been campaigns about for the past 15, 20 years. Good, more of that. But male genital mutilation, fine. I think it's down to the initials, because FGM sounds bad and wrong, whereas MGM sounds like a lion did it. And that is super cool. I imagine when the rabbi's doing it, he's just going, ba 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 ba. That's 20th Century Fox. But the hardest thing for me is if I have a little boy with my wife, then he's not going to be Jewish, and I'm trying to decide whether I want to have him circumcised because, you know, I think it's barbaric, but it is tradition, and I've decided I will have my son circumcised, but only if he doesn't tidy his room. Now, the trickiest bit about this routine on circumcision is that it doesn't have an end. But this is the problem. We do weird stuff like this and it leads to rumours. Here's a rumour, right, that people will always hear about Jews. But I hear older people, you'll know this a little bit more. Younger people, maybe not. When I was little, kids at school would go, Ben, when Jews have sex, do you do it through a hole in a sheet? You heard that rumour? Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? Like, as a kid, I couldn't work out the logistics. Like, gentlemen, it's hard enough to know when the best time during sex to pop on a condom is. The correct answer is, of course, before. But thinking about it, you've got the lady back to your boudoir. One thing leads to another. Your clothes come off, her clothes come off. You're trumping, ready to go. At which point you've got to go, sorry, love, I'm just off to the linen cupboard. And then you open it up, you throw the sheet over yourself, Egyptian cotton, ironically. And you're no longer having sex, are you? You're now in a horrifying episode of Scooby Doo. If you really want to spice things up, just before you orgasm, you could go, I was the caretaker all along. If you really want to put them off their stride, you can go, I would have got away with it if it wasn't for this pesky kid. No, you shouldn't say that. You shouldn't say that. But despite all of this, despite finding all of this wrong, I still feel culturally Jewish, right? I'll give you an example how, right? This is a story of something that happened last year. I was on Facebook and one of my mates, Rachel, said, Ben, I'm looking for a comedian to do a comedy club for kids show. And I said, I'd love to do that. I do all these jokes. And she said, oh, Ben, I'd love to employ you. But the thing is, it's a private gig at a synagogue on a Jewish high holy day. And because you're Jewish and I'm Jewish, I cannot in good conscience employ you to do the gig. So I said, well, the thing is, Rachel, technically I can do the show because technically I'm not Jewish because my mum's not Jewish. And that, my friends, was a lie. And then I thought, well, what could be more Jewish than pretending not to be Jewish in order to make some money out of some other Jews? My celebratory bacon bagel did not taste good that day. No. Now, because I like you, I'm going to tell you what happened that day. And this genuinely happened. And when a comedian says that, what they normally mean is, couldn't think of a punchline. But as you will see, this really happened. Now, this story takes place in somewhere called High Barnet Synagogue, if you want to know the name of a place from which I am now banned for life. And it was a room of about this size, and there were about 36-year-old Jewlings in there. I don't know what you call them. And I was performing at them, and I wasn't allowed to use a microphone because you're not allowed to use electricity on a holy day. So I was given a can of hairspray by Rachel, and you've seen I like to mess around with audiences. So I went, "Oh, you're a very smelly bunch of kids, aren't you? Oh, ksh. Oh, you lot over there. Ugh, halitosis. Ksh. Oh, and you at the back. Oh, gross. Oh, B.O. Ksh." At which point, the room full of small Jewish children started hacking and coughing, and one little girl put up her hand and said, "Stop it, Ben, you're gassing us." Now, I don't know if you've ever accidentally recreated your own people's genocide, but in miniature. But I was looking out over a Muppet Babies Auschwitz. My fight or flight mechanism was going, "Don't know, mate, you're on your own. Not a fucking clue, not a clue." The other two comedians at the back of the room were losing their shit. And luckily, a rabbi came to my rescue, because he popped open the door to pick up one of his kids, and as he did so, I just said, "Look, children, it's Oscar Schindler. He's come to save us all." Walks out of there. So what are we, guys? We are paranoid, jittery apes that make terrible decisions based on minimal information. And on that note, Brexit. Now, look, don't worry. I know that some people will have voted one way, others will have voted another. I mean, this is again lefty liberal yogurt knitting North London, but my feeling is that about 50% of the room will have voted Remain. Maybe 35% will have voted Leave, 15% will not have voted, and 5% still think that Brexit is some kind of laxative. Do you want to rid your system of foreign bodies? Try all new Brexit. Side effects may include an unelected Prime Minister and a swollen Farage. But don't worry, I want to tell you, I think it's an emotive issue. However you vote, however you feel now, it's an emotive issue. And also the thing with Brexit, it is barely in the top 5 weirdest things that happened last year, isn't it? And I think things are only going to get stranger. My top 3 predictions for 2017, in April, I think aliens are going to invade, and we're going to go, "Not now, lads, we're busy." In June, the 2 remaining Beatles are going to die, and the 2 dead Beatles are going to come back to life. And in November, someone's going to use a 3D printer to 3D print a 4D printer. It's going to be a weird year. But let me tell you about what happened with Brexit. So that the day after the result came out, I was gigging, and this is a weird old job when a big political event happens, to do public speaking. And I was gigging in Rotherham. Yeah, Lever Central. If you've not been to Rotherham, how can I describe it? Basically makes Doncaster look like Florence. And I went on stage, and I was terrible. I was angry, I was unfocused, I was shouty, and they were in a weird sort of celebratory mood, and I died on my arse, and I spent the 4-hour journey home thinking, right, I'm just going to go take my favourite toaster for a bath. And I thought, no, I want to do something constructive. What can I do? So I thought I could write to my MP, or I could set up a petition, or I could do what I actually did, which is get involved in a 4-hour Twitter argument with a genuine neo-Nazi. And you know what? I think I might have lost. Because no one's expecting a smart neo-Nazi, are they, my friends? We're all expecting knuckle-draggers from Hayes. But, sorry if you're from Hayes, but it is an EDL hole. And this guy had done his homework, but it was from a textbook only available in Berlin from 1933 to 1945. It was... Here's what happened, right? So straight after the vote, the noted British Iraqi physicist Jim Al-Khalili was retweeting all the racist abuse that he'd been getting after the result. And this one guy had gone, Jim Al-Khalili, what sort of name is that for a British person? And I thought, I know what this conversation needs. A little dose of Benjamin Shlomo van der Velde. So I popped in there and went, come on, guys, even if you disagree, you can be civil about it. And he shot back at me. I was expecting something a little bit smarter from an Ashkenazi Jew. I was like, how did you know? Am I ending my tweets with the word schmuck and a shrugging emoji? What is going on? And I realised he'd taken one look at my profile picture, and clearly this face was just going dum 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 dum. I'm aware that's Tetris, but that's also the Jews theme tune. And I looked at his profile picture, and he was good looking. Do you know how it feels as a short, frizzy-haired Jew to find out that eugenics actually works? And we just got in this ridiculous argument, and it ended the way all Twitter spats do. We just started sending pictures at each other. He sent me a picture of Hitler, so I sent him a picture of Woody Allen. And then he sent me a picture of Goebbels, so I sent him a picture of Muhammad Ali. Then he sent me a picture of Dolph Lundgren, so I sent him a picture of Jesse Owens. And then he sent me a picture of ABBA, and I went, well, that clearly wins. And all the while I couldn't help thinking, you're not a good neo-Nazi, I'm a better neo-Nazi than you are. How many rooms full of small Jewish children have you ever gassed? And then it was definitely time to get off Twitter. And I wanted to work out why people voted the way they did. You know, I had mates who voted for both left and right-wing reasons. My friend Swanee voted for the left-wing reason that, in his words, the EU was on its last legs and needed to be put out of its misery. Wouldn't want to be Swanee's grandma around Christmas, would you? What did you get me for Christmas, Swanee? Oh, just some more anthrax, Grandma. That's some more anthrax. And my mate Ollie, he voted for the more right-wing reason that he thought it was still 1935. It was, and the whole dictum was about, we want to take back control. We're going to take back control. What we didn't know is that the Brexiteers would also take back alt and delete and return the country to factory settings, which is, and it's weird, because they wanted to take back control and also kick out the immigrants, but weirdly, a lot of Brexiteers were very much in favour of the royal family. You know, a Greek and a German in a big shiny house who were, you know, on state benefits. It was very baffling. And you know, it will come as no surprise to you that, you know, the ruthless cosmopolitan Jew, as the neo-Nazi charmingly referred to me for 3.5 hours, you know, doesn't like the royal family. They're not for me. They're not for me. Because the Queen is only the Queen because 500 years ago her ancestors were better at sword fighting than yours were. And that's not a solid basis for government. That is a solid basis for an HBO box set and nothing else. It is. And it's this whole idea that the Queen's better than you. The royal family, they're better than us, aren't they? They've got better breeding. Better breeding. And last year, they got 369 million quid. Do you know what, my friends? For 369 million quid, I think we can breed something better. I think for 369 million quid, we can breed a bear with the wings of an eagle and declare it king. A bear eagle. A fucking beagle, guys. Come on, that'd be amazing. How patriotic will you feel if you look at the new £10 note with on one side a picture of Charles Darwin, on the other something that completely disproves his theories of evolution? And for any Brexiteers in the room, how useful will it be to Theresa May in the Brexit negotiations to have the ultimate Pokemon Go on her side? It'll be phenomenal. She'll be there negotiating with Chancellor Merkel. Chancellor Merkel, we would, we want to make sure that we limit the free movement of people. No, that is not going to happen. Very well. Release the king. But what upset me after Brexit, I'm sure it's the same with you guys, again, whatever side you voted for, was the rise in hate crimes. And it was depressing and strange how far and wide these happened. For example, in York, there was a woman who was racially abused in the street for speaking Swedish. Now, firstly, what an ear for languages that racist has. That is, he must hate the Muppet Show. And Fuck it, maybe she wasn't Swedish. Maybe she just got hit on the head with a really big meatball. We don't know. But, there was this racist. He's having a drink, and out the corner of his ear he goes, oh, excuse me, no. No one speaks with a line through the letter O in this country. No. Like, how are you racist to a Swedish person? I don't know. Fuck off back home, you ABBA-loving, Allen Key-using au pair. It just doesn't work. I will say this, though. As a little Jewish man, finding out that someone with blonde hair and blue eyes was racially abused for their appearance. Ooh, the schadenfreude. Hum, nom, 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 nom. Oh, that tasted good. But the big problem for me was that we had a legitimate conversation about how many EU nationals we should let into our country, and suddenly, it was all about the Muslims. And the thing that did it for me, the thing that still upsets me to this day, is that fucking poster that Farage put out, that I'm sure we all remember, the one with a line of vulnerable immigrants, all in a line, ready to get into Britain. And he had the temerity to say, how are these people going to integrate into British life? Nigel, mate, they're forming an orderly queue. And I understand the tension with the Muslim world. I do. I absolutely do. It's tricky. ISIS are scary. They're doing their job. They're scary. I will say this about ISIS, though. Who knew that we would feel nostalgic for Al-Qaeda? That is... But I think the problem comes down to, I've had a theory about, why there's this tension between Western Europeans and people from Islamic countries. I think it's to do with our drinking culture. They're a teetotal people, we're drinkers. I feel that. I'm not a big drinker, I don't like the taste of beer on a night out. I'll have a fruit beer, which British people do not like. People might ask you, how was your night? You'll go, brilliant, I had 12 pints of Stella, woke up in a skip, what a legend I am. Go, what about you, Ben? Oh, I had 12 pints of strawberry beer, woke up in the Women's Institute baking a flan. It's just not... It's not as good. My missus tried to get me onto other British drinks like gin. Not for me. To me, gin is basically the tears of a divorcee distilled through a filing cabinet. It's not a happy drink, is it? No one goes, you're engaged. A round of gins for everyone. At least with tequila, there's a little bit of ceremony. With tequila, you can go salt, tequila, lime. Wouldn't do that with gin. With gin, you'd have to go salt, gin, razor blade. It's the only way. But we're really suspicious of teetotalers. I had to go on a stag do last year with my mate Riz, who's a teetotaler. And I thought, fuck, where are we going to take Riz for his stag do? And we sussed it. We took him on a tour of the Evian factory. Oh, guys, the free samples. By the end, we were so hydrated. It was... we even played Russian roulette. We lined up 10 shots. One of them was carbonated. Lads! I mean, the thing is, my tipple of choice. It's not even booze. I'm a big fan of the old gentleman's herbal restoratives. A bit of the old calypso spinach. The old reggae kale. Bit of the old inspiration cabbage. Marijuana. This feels like a needless question, but do we have any potheads in the room? That is an obvious lie from 30 people. There's clearly a stoner at the back going, he doesn't look like an undercover police officer. He looks like a gap year student from Middle-earth. My advice to you is this: never buy marijuana in your castle where I'm from, right? Because dealers do a horrible thing. For weed to be strong, got to be covered in tiny little crystals called THC. That is what gets you high. Dealers in your castle, to make it look strong, they cover it in fiberglass. Yeah, grim, right? But my stoner mate who warned me got it all wrong. He said, Ben, you got to watch out for the weed. It's covered in fibre optics. That sounds great. Smoke a spliff, get free broadband. If you're spun out in the corner, what's wrong with Ben? I'm just buffering. Be with you in 2 minutes, 1 minute, 9 minutes. Connection lost. You're good folk, you laughed at that. Back in Oslo, did that joke, no one laughed. I was like, guys, what's wrong? That's a home run of a gag. And a polite Norwegian man put up his hand and said, yes, in Norway, our internet works. But Anyway, I just think the world would be better if we had this. But I think the world would be better as well if we could have a more sophisticated view, a more roundable view of our Muslim friends. I'm going to say the most controversial thing of the entire gig that you're going to hate me for, right? Before I did this, I used to work as a street charity fundraiser. I may as well have told you that I enjoyed beheading babies in my spare time. But no, I was a good one. If you had a good line, I'd let you pass. My first day, I worked for the Samaritans, and I went up to a guy and went, "Excuse me, sir, have you heard of the Samaritans?" And he went, "Yes, their third album was shit." Fair enough, on your way. But you know who gives the most to charities? It is young Muslims and squaddies. How nice to see them side by side and not in a terribly depressing Independent article. It's just lovely. It's lovely. And the thing is, it's so hard to explain. I try to explain that there's a wealth of Islamic culture that we can call on. The Islamic world was like the guardian of knowledge before the Renaissance, nicked it off them. But I try to explain to my mate, right, that, Muslims are responsible for inventions like algebra and algorithms. And my mate just went, "What? So I've got Muslims to blame for double maths? Fuck them." I was like, no. And the weirdest thing as well is that, the Islamic extremist group that are the most successful at the moment are the ones that are using our own social media back against us. And it's really weird. I've done the reading, so you do not have to. This is the most revealing and strange thing about ISIS. They use internet memes to get people to click on their site, and because up until I think they're now thrown off Facebook, but for a while ISIS had over 50,000 Facebook likes, which means that I want their social media manager. But they would put up these pictures, and the one that was most famous, they had one which said it took a meme that you'll all know, a little acronym, which is YOLO, you only live once, and they changed it to YODO, you only die once. So better make it a good one. Now, first up, You Only Die Once sounds like the worst Bond movie in history. Lights up, Daniel Craig blows himself up in Buckingham Palace, and then an hour and a half of Sam Smith. Horrible, horrible, horrible. Also, ISIS were clever. They know how the internet works. They knew that the most shareable thing in the world on the internet is a picture of a cute kitten. But wise up, ISIS. You can't put the words YOLO, you only live once, on the picture of a cat. That cat has 8 more times to die. So listen, my friends, I've got one more story to tell you. You have been tolerant. And this has been a lot of fun. This is going to be quite a weird thing to say, particularly with a camera in the room. But this was a gig. For some of you, you paid to get in. Thank you very much. For some of you, it was free to get in, but not necessarily to get out. And one thing I didn't say when I talked about snap judgments, there's one snap judgment that I held back of you as an audience, which was you do look generous. No, and I know that you held back a snap judgment about me, which was, I think the little Jew's going to ask us for money at some point, but that is... And listen, if you want to give me some money, that'd be absolutely cracking. If not, and this applies to you lovely people watching this on your laptops, hopefully on full screen, not half screen with something naughty on the other side, don't give money to me, give money to a refugee charity. That'd be a nice thing to do, because fuck me, they could do with our help right now. Anyway, that was the dirty mercenary capitalist part of the show. I want to finish by telling you a little story. And I hope by now, we're friends. We trust each other. You're looking at me and going, that's the kind of guy I would trust alone in a room with my sister, if not alone in a room with my hamster. And this story takes place last July, a couple of weeks after the Nice lorry attacks. And it takes place on the Northern Line on the Charing Cross branch, in about mid-afternoon. And I was on the tube, and I got stuck in a tunnel. And sat opposite me was a very religious-looking Muslim man. Skull cap, beard, dish dash, sandals, Arabic newspaper, rucksack, full house. And I gave him my best patronising North London liberal smile. Salam. And as I did that, my fight or flight mechanism went, oh, well, this guy's obviously a terrorist. That's a horrible thought. I'm really not proud of that thought at all. And just at this point, I wanted to let you know that some of my best friends, or whatever ethnicity, will make you feel all right with this story. So I thought, this guy, he's a terrorist. My rational brain went, no, he's obviously not a terrorist. And fight or flight went, oh, I rather think he is. And rational brain went, no, because the modus operandi of ISIS is that they use people with fair skin and secular clothes who blend in. If anything, we should be looking out for Swedish people. I went, fair enough, it's not him. And then I looked over in the corner, and there was two Asian-looking guys with fair skin and secular clothes. And fight or flight went, oh no, they're the terrorists over there, definitely terrorists. And my rational brain went, no, they're not terrorists. What are the odds of you being in a terrorist attack on a tube in mid-afternoon? And fight or flight went, yeah, but Leicester City did win the league at odds of 5,000 to 1. And this is the thing that the two men do that made me convinced a terrorist attack was about to happen. My friends, I need your help for a second, right? On the count of 3, my beardy friend, I just want you to stand up perfectly normally, okay? Okay, on the count of 3, just want you to stand up. 1, 2, 3, up you get. Beautiful. You can sit down again. We're not scared. We're not afraid. He's probably pop enough to buy us all a pint. On the count of 3, I want both of you to stand up at exactly the same time. 1, 2, 3. Time-travelling assassins from the future. Right there. And, hey, just as an experiment, if on the count of 3, all of you can stand up at the same time. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Oh, that's fascism right there. Right there. Down. Horrible. This is what these two men stood up in perfect sync, and my mind went, fuck it, that's it. And I started to have a panic attack. I started to sweat, I started to cry, I started to hyperventilate, and the guy next to me noticed, and he put his hand on my shoulder and said, are you okay, my friend? I turned round, and it was another Asian man. And my fight or flight went, it's all right, mate, this one's probably a doctor. And he said that again. He said, are you okay, my friend? And the best I could say was, and the tension in my voice spread throughout the tube until suddenly every single commuter was focused on this one very religious-looking Muslim man. And this is what he did. He slowly folded up his Arabic newspaper. He popped it down on top of his rucksack. He leaned into me and very quietly he just said, boom. What a legend! That guy's more British than any of us! You know what he did? He saw a potentially tense situation and went, I know what this needs, a joke. And I started laughing and crying at the same time. I said, oh, I'm so sorry, I've made a horrible assumption here. My name's Ben. Now, well, technically it's Ben Yom and Shalom. Actually, you don't need to know that right now. What's yours? And his name was Mahmoud. He was from Afghanistan. He was a refugee. He'd moved here 5 years ago to get away from the war, and now he drove a taxi, and we spoke some more, and we exchanged numbers, and now I'm in ISIS. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been an absolute delight to perform to you. Thanks very much for this, and I've been Ben Vandervelde. See you again soon. Let's go have a drink.